Welcome back. And you have my admiration of having made it so far. Well, I have made it so far in this workshop, and I'm glad that you're on the journey with me. So let's come to the final part of the communications workshop. Well, there is more. There is advanced communication, there is public speaking, there is storytelling, and you can enroll for that independently. Okay, but I am going to take you to a very critical point in communication, that is how to make your point, how to make an impact, and you have to be ready with it. See, everything that I have given you, there is a practice involved to that. Communication skills is with practice. You learned to speak with practice, you learned to write with practice, and now to master the art, there has to be practice behind it, and I urge you to do that and put it to use in your formal communication, in your informal communication with friends or colleagues or family. Try it out. When you put this strongly out in your informal communications, you become more and more confident. You can see the influence because you know these people. You know what will work with them, what won't work with them, and you know their responses when they are genuine and when they are fake. It's a great confidence building exercise. So I would really encourage you to put it to practice. Now, how do you make an impression? How do you make a point? How do you make an impact? Number one, know your subject. You have to know what you're talking about. Otherwise, how will you make an impact? How will you influence? And while I'm talking about some in-depth research, some mastery over your subject, also pay attention to lesser known facts. When you make a point with, did you know, or not many people know this, or this is a lesser known fact, people become curious. They pay attention. Automatically, they want to know what is it that other people don't know. So know lesser known facts. Give statistics. Give numbers. Did you know? Okay, now I'm coming to a lesser known fact. Did you know that training programs have only 22% effectiveness, which means that the person is unable to apply 78% of the content? Okay, now that is like, aha, I did not know that. And it also may be a great idea that whatever subject that you're talking about, give a little past reference, give a little present reference, and the future. Did you know in the past, this is how it used to be? And now people are doing this. And in the future, oh my God, you are already establishing yourself as an expert and authority. So while you delve deep into knowing your subject, keep these 3 points also in mind. Number 2, you should know, why does this person want to listen to you? What does he want? Why is this information important to him? I met this gentleman in the flight. He was my co-passenger, and I made the mistake of asking him, what do you do? Oh my God, he went on and on about his interest in history and how he went to this archaeological site and this museum and that. I have no interest in history. Okay, but you know what? I just couldn't change my seat or now tell him shut up because the man wouldn't keep quiet. It was a waste of my time, waste of that 1.5 hours. So here is the thing. Know what your person wants. At least ask me, no, are you interested in history? And I say, no, not really. So can he not talk about another subject? Yes. So care enough to know, what does your audience want? What does the terminal want? Why is this information even important to him? Does he even need it? If not, switch to something else. Because at the end of the day, you don't want the other person to make a mental note never to speak to you again. Number 3, if you're going to start a conversation and if you have planned a subject, already pre-think that why would this person not agree with me? See, already plan the argument, because a lot of times, people say, oh no, but not like that, and so on. An argument necessarily doesn't have to be personal to you. It could be the person really doesn't like this topic, or it could be it's not true for the person, or he doesn't know enough, and therefore the argument. Because the last thing you want is resistance. It's counterproductive for any communication. So think, if I'm going to talk on this subject, what will the resistance be? What will the argument be? Think with that and work with that already. That, what? A lot of people feel this way. You already addressed his or her inhibition or argument or resistance. It also shows that you put some thought into your audience. And even if those topics don't come up, or whether they come up, you're empathetic, you're understanding, because you've already worked this out in your head, and you make for a great communication terminal. And that is power. That gives you the confidence to be able to make a point, because you understand the guy more than he understands you. And the person with the greater understanding has the deeper getaway. Number 4, look for reactions. What is not said. See, if the person is interested, you can see on his face he's interested. And if there are some very good people who are good with communication skills, they can also fake interest, but deep down inside, they are waiting like Sita for the earth to crack and they sink in and this whole conversation is over. Okay, but there are distinct signs when the person has nothing to contribute in your conversation, nothing to say at all right, when they are looking here and there, when they're checking the phone or they're looking at what is happening on the side, check for these signs. And if you spot it, pause, ask questions. Does this make sense? What do you think? And if the person can't think with you please change the conversation. Please change the subject. Feedback is very, very critical. If I'm talking and my audience is on the phone or talking to each other or going for, toilet breaks, like half of the audience gone on a toilet break, that's great feedback. That is not working. And Priya Kumar, shut up. Luckily, that has not happened with me, but I'm very, very sensitive for feedback, what my audience is doing. And look, it's okay. I mean, if I'm talking about a subject you're not interested in, you have a right to be bored. Yeah, you're also a human being. Would it not be nice for me to say, so how was your day? Okay, forget about me. Forget I spoke a lot. How was your day? I put it back in your code and I get your interest. And in that, I try to figure out what is important to you. How can I help you? How can I make a point? How can I make an impact? You get what I'm saying? Don't be like that runaway train that will soon be derailed because you won't have that audience come back to you. You won't have that person come back to you. Be sensitive for feedback. The next one, when you're talking to people, always ask questions. Be curious. What do you think? Would you like that? What's your opinion on this? What's your viewpoint? Considering your experience, what would you think about this? Ask questions. Encourage a person to give you different viewpoints on your subject, which will help you understand the person and therefore influence him or her and make an impact. Okay. And conversation always has to be two-sided. Whatever it is that you're trying to communicate, it becomes solid, it becomes effective, it becomes beautiful when it is engaging the other person's viewpoint also. You also come back richer. You have also learned something. Even if you went for a sales pitch in inviting questions, my God, you come back with additional data which help you make a better sales pitch for the future. You understand what I'm saying? Feedback, questioning, curiosity is very, very powerful. Use it. And next one, always have a positive attitude and smile. Never lose your ground in communication. Always have a positive attitude. Now, what if you get into an argument? And I tell you, there are times when you will naturally sink into an argument where the other person will start to argue with you. Then what will you do? Okay, because if you just end on a draw, nobody wins and you don't like the person. And I tell you, I get into arguments for vegetarian, non-vegetarian, because I'm a vegetarian and I don't pay for non-vegetarian food. Let's say if you and I go for lunch to a restaurant, I'll tell you that it's my treat and it's vegetarian. And the person says, oh, but what if I want to order chicken? And I said, then you pay. I'm not paying for it. And there starts the topic. Oh, you think vegetarian and you think non-vegetarian? And do you think plants don't have life? And do you think plants don't have feeling? And oh, the milk that you drank, was that for you? It was for the calf. Oh my God, it gets into a brawl because some people really take offense on it. So it's now an argument. Okay, I'm a vegetarian. What shall I do? I say, I agree with you. So I'm a hypocrite vegetarian. So end of the day, I'm not going to argue with you. I am going to agree with you and I'm going to make my point also and make it light also. So I say I'm a vegetarian, hypocrite vegetarian. Chalo, what are we going to order? Today you can just pretend to be vegetarian. Okay, I'm not going to argue and I'm not going to end the conversation in an argument. So you think, end of the day, what is it that you're going to do to repair that communication gone on different sides? It's okay to say, I agree with you. That's a very different viewpoint. I'm going to put some thought in it. It's contrary to what you're saying. Why are you arguing? Think with it. No, maybe you'll come up with ideas. Maybe it'll make an impact. Maybe it is stupid, but you think about it on your own personal time. No, you can't convince somebody by countering them, by badgering them. How they will only keep retreating or they will keep attacking. Think with it and say, oh, that's a very good point. Let me write it down. For the person's satisfaction and honor, write it down also and say, okay, great. I will think about it. Okay, then what were we talking about? Now go back to some other topic. or start a new topic, but don't encourage or participate in an argument. And finally, what's going to be your parting line? What's going to be the punch? What's going to be the grand finale? What are going to be the one or two takeaways the person will have in having spent time with you? Plan that already. In the end, all in all, I wanted to say was point one, point two, and point three. And that is already thought through and articulated. In fact, you're waiting for it. See, so many times it happens. You had such an amazing time with the person. You had so much fun. But can you articulate three things? So it's very, very important for you that to be remembered, for the person to go and quote. Let's say somebody met Priya Kumar. They want to go, I met Priya Kumar, and this one thing that she said. Let's say the person says, oh, I met this guy. He was so amazing. This one thing that he said. What is that one thing that you said that person will repeat? That is your punchline, and you will make it right in the end. It could be at the end of the conversation. When the person is leaving, you perhaps shake hands while you've spoken about 10 subjects and nobody's going to remember anything. You shake hands and say, it was wonderful meeting you. And in the end, I just want to conclude by saying that one line, and that stays. Plan it, rehearse it, prepare it, study it, research it, practice it. And that's how you make an impression. See, I started my career as a motivational speaker very, very young. I started it with college students, and then I started doing personality development workshops with students. And I remember my first ever corporate workshop was with Reserve Bank of India. My mother used to work in Reserve Bank of India, and I think they just called me because, she must have said, oh, it's my daughter, call her for a workshop. And I was there for a communication skills workshop. Now imagine a 22-year-old walking in this office where everybody, I think, was my mother's age, double my age, and I'm going to teach you about communication skills. Really? Are they interested? You know your subject. You start with lesser known facts and statistics and give a past, present, future reference to it. So I started my talk by asking that how many of you know what communication tools and strategies the crime branch of India uses in their interrogation to extract the truth from suspects to determine whether they are innocent or they are guilty. Okay. And now I got everybody's attention. Hey, what are those tools? You get it. I had in-depth knowledge. I had great hold over my subject. Why is it important to them? Would it help you in communication if you could understand people, if you could judge them, if you could evaluate their sincerity, and if you could steer the conversation such not only you discover about them, but they also discover about themselves. Oh, yes. And from there started my journey of talking to people, evaluating feedback. Are they interested? There's one gentleman who was sitting at the back and pretty bored. So I asked him a question. So what do you think? And now suddenly he became sharp. He said, I think, this is okay, but, and there was an argument that he wanted to start because he was really not interested. Okay. He didn't care that I was the daughter of an ex-employee and he wanted to start an argument. And I said, I agree with you. I agree with you totally. What you're saying is absolutely true. Thank you for that. Yeah. And I turned around and wrote it. I don't remember if I turned around and wrote it, but thank you for that. And I continued with my topic. And that's okay. Don't indulge in argument. My friendliness, my positive attitude in continuing to give information, in continuing to ask questions, in continuing to encourage viewpoints. I think that workshop was so amazing and encouraging. It must have been, no? If it was a disaster, it would have spoiled my confidence for further ones. And my mother would have convinced me, you're not meant for this. All of the people are calling me and telling me that your daughter made a fool of herself. Tell her not to do this. You get what I'm saying? There was solid preparation at the punchline. I don't remember it. I have a video of it on VHS, There were summary points that I made in the end. That look, while this is what I told you, these are the 5 points that I discussed that you can take back, and this is how you can apply. I even made a little booklet and gave it away. That was my final punchline, that even for that gentleman who never paid attention in the whole workshop, at least he can go through those 5 points and argue with himself if it needs be. All right. So put some care into your communication. You want to be effective. You want to rise to the position of leadership because that facet is coming up. And a genius, when he or she rises to the position of leadership, that is a position of true power and influence, where your work gets a platform for wider reach, for greater impact. Okay, that's what we're going for. And these are small tools building upon each other, from personality to influence to impact and so on and so forth. Communication skills will always remain at the foundation of personal mastery. I urge you to try it. I urge you to experiment it. Do the playbook. The playbook is going to ask you to go out and talk to people and write how you felt. Be mindful. Put in preparation and put in practice, and now write. Were you conscious of an impact? Did you create it? And even if it was one tiny thing that you mindfully applied, was not to argue, my God, it takes you such a long way in being an influencer and in being a great personality. So I really hope this helped. Please do give me your feedback. Tell me how you felt. Tell me your wins and tell me where else I can add value. And I would be happy to do that. And this concludes the week of communication skills. Like I said, there is more which you can expand into and go into. But until then, we move on to the next week.